the United States of America's hostile actions against the Gambia since 1994. Gambians and the whole world are hereby reminded of the British and US government's various attempts to have this current government overthrown since 1994, when the great July 22, 1994 revolution definitively and truly asserted Gambia's independence from their colonialist and neo-colonialist hegemony, thereby ending all their hopes of exploiting our natural resources to the detriment of the Gambia. The first was the US and UK-sponsored coup attempt on November 11, 1995, led by the then Army Commander Lieutenant Barrow. All those coup plotters that escaped by going to the US and Senegalese embassies, including Bakary Boundia Dabo, a former vice president under the PPP regime, and a dismissed finance minister under the AFPRC, who escaped the jurisdiction by riding in the official flag car of the then Senegalese ambassador to the Gambia, Mr. Mokhtar Kebe, were issued US and British visas by their respective embassies in Dakar and given asylum in the US and Bibi Dabo in the UK. Since that coup plot failed, up till today, these two Western powers have continued in their relentless efforts to destabilize this country, desperately using every means possible, from sponsoring coup plots to financing the opposition and mounting a vigorous smear campaign consisting of outrageous lies and false allegations against the Gambia. Despite this government's goodwill towards all countries, including the US and the UK, which of course does not include surrendering our sovereignty, natural, mineral, and petroleum resources to old vampires and present-day locusts, these two Western powers and their surrogate allies continue to vilify this government and noble country. Our crimes as a government are, but not limited to, those clearly stipulated in the first statement. The latest being the rejection by the National Assembly of the so-called US-Gambia Maritime Security Agreement. The letter and spirit of this agreement clearly meant the total control and exploitation of Gambia's territorial waters, boarding and searching of all vessels coming to and leaving the Gambia, etc. The honorable members of the National Assembly, representing the Gambian people from Kartong to Kaina, detected their ulterior motives and refused to ratify it. This government, after carefully reviewing the agreement to find out exactly why it was not ratified, realized what a catastrophic mistake we have made by signing it in the first place and sending it for ratification. From then on, the Gambia government, vowing not to repeat the same mistake, decided to subject all security agreement proposals from the US and UK to full scrutiny by the Minister of Defense, His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia. This led to the outright rejection of a second, more elaborate and sinister proposal by the US government through their embassy in the Gambia. We hereby warn all viewers, especially patriotic Gambians and all persons of conscience worldwide, that the contents would not only shock you, but leave you eternally flabbergasted. The proposed agreement, which is attached to this statement as annex, reads: The Embassy of the United States of America presents its compliments to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of the Gambia and has the honor to refer to recent discussions between representatives of our two governments regarding issues related to United States military and civilian personnel defined as members of the United States Armed Forces and civilian employees of the United States Department of Defense, respectively, hereafter referred to collectively as United States personnel, and United States contractors defined as non-Republic of the Gambia companies and firms and their employees who are not nationals of the Republic of the Gambia under contract to the United States Department of Defense, who may be temporarily present in the Republic of the Gambia in connection with mutually agreed activities, including, for example, ship visits, training, exercises, and humanitarian activities. As a result of these discussions, the embassy proposes that United States personnel be accorded the privileges, exemptions, and immunities equivalent to those accorded to the administrative and technical staff of a diplomatic mission under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of April 18, 1961. that United States personnel may enter and exit the Republic of the Gambia with United States identification and with collective movement or individual travel documents. That the Republic of the Gambia shall accept as valid all professional licenses issued by the United States thereof or their political subdivisions to United States personnel for the provision of services to authorized personnel, and that the Republic of the Gambia authorities shall accept as valid without a driving test or fee driving licenses or permits issued by the appropriate United States authorities to United States personnel for the operation of vehicles. The embassy further proposes that United States personnel be authorized to wear uniforms while performing official duties and to carry arms while on duty if authorized to do so by their orders. The government of the Republic of the Gambia recognizes the particular importance of disciplinary control by United States Armed Forces authorities over United States personnel, and therefore authorizes the government of the United States to exercise criminal jurisdiction over United States military personnel while in the Republic of the Gambia. The embassy further proposes that the United States Department of Defense and United States personnel shall not be liable to pay any tax or similar charge assessed within the Republic of the Gambia, and that the United States Department of Defense and United States personnel may import into, export out of, and use in the Republic of the Gambia any personal property, equipment, supplies, material, technology, training, or services in connection with activities under this agreement. Such importation, exportation, and use shall be exempt from any inspection, license, other restrictions, customs duties, taxes, or any other charges assessed within the Republic of the Gambia. The governments of the United States of America and the Republic of the Gambia shall cooperate to take such measures as may be necessary to ensure the security and protection of United States personnel, property, equipment, records, and official information in the Republic of the Gambia. The embassy proposes that vessels and vehicles operated by or at the time exclusively for the United States Department of Defense may enter, exit, and move freely within the territory of the Republic of the Gambia, and that such vehicles, whether self-propelled or towed, shall not be subject to the payment of overland transit tolls. Vessels and aircraft owned or operated by or at the time exclusively for the United States Department of Defense shall not be subject to the payment of landing, parking, or port fees, pilotage charges, lighterage, and harbor use at facilities owned and operated by the government of the Republic of the Gambia. Aircraft owned and operated by or at the time exclusively for United States Department of Defense shall not be subject to payment of navigation, overflight, terminal, or similar charges when in the territory of the Republic of the Gambia. The United States Department of Defense shall pay reasonable charges for services requested and received at rates no less favorable than those paid by the armed forces of the Republic of the Gambia, less taxes and similar charges. Aircraft and vessels of the United States government shall be free from boarding and inspection. The embassy also proposes that the United States Department of Defense may contract for any material, supplies, equipment, and services, including construction, to be furnished or undertaken in the Republic of the Gambia without restriction as to choice of contractor, supplier, or person who provides such material, supplies, equipment, or services. Such contracts shall be solicited, awarded, and administered in accordance with the laws and regulations of the government of the United States of America. Acquisition of articles and services in the Republic of the Gambia by or on behalf of the United States Department of Defense in connection with activities under this agreement shall not be subject to any taxes or similar charges in the Republic of the Gambia. The embassy further proposes that United States contractors shall not be liable to pay any tax or similar charge assessed within the Republic of the Gambia in connection with activities under this agreement, and that such contractors may import into, export out of, and use in the Republic of the Gambia any personal property, equipment, supplies, material, technology, training, or services in fulfillment of contracts with the United States Department of Defense in connection with activities under this agreement. Such importation, exportation, and use shall be exempt from any license, other restrictions, custom duties, taxes, or any other charges assessed within the Republic of the Gambia. The embassy proposes that United States contractors shall be granted the same treatment as United States personnel with respect to professional and driver's licenses. The embassy proposes that United States personnel shall have freedom of movement and access to and use of mutually agreed transportation, storage, training, and other facilities required in connection with activities under this agreement. The government of the Republic of the Gambia recognizes that it may be necessary for the United States Armed Forces to use the radio spectrum. The United States Department of Defense shall be allowed to operate its own telecommunication systems as telecommunication is defined in the 1992 Constitution and Convention of the International Telecommunication Union. This shall include the right to utilize such means and services as required to ensure full ability to operate telecommunication systems and the right to use all necessary radio spectrum for this purpose. Use of the radio spectrum shall be free of cost to the United States government. Further, the embassy proposes that the parties waive any and all claims other than contractual claims against each other for damage to, loss or destruction of the other's property or injury or death to personnel of either party's armed forces or their civilian personnel arising out of the performance of their official duties in connection with activities under this agreement. Claims by third parties for damages or loss caused by United States personnel shall be resolved by the United States government in accordance with United States laws and regulations. Finally, the embassy proposes further that our two governments or their designated representatives may enter into implementing arrangements to carry out the provisions of this agreement. If the foregoing is acceptable to the government of the Republic of the Gambia, the embassy shall propose that this note, together with the ministry's reply to that effect, shall constitute an agreement between the two governments which shall enter into force on the date of the ministry's reply. The Embassy of the United States of America avails itself of this opportunity to renew to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of the Gambia the assurances of its highest consideration. Embassy of the United States of America, Banjul, November 27, 2012. This is the end of the agreement proposed by the United States of America. Obviously, knowing our president, this agreement was not only rejected outright, but led to the dismissal of the then Permanent Secretary Ministry of Defense, Mr. Pahari Sambu, who, as it turned out to be, had already approved for signing this agreement that would have led to the total surrender of our sovereignty to the United States of America and, by extension, their cousins, the British. Gambians and the rest of the world should have noticed that any U.S. ambassador to the Gambia who has a strong conscience and determination to tell the truth about the situation in the Gambia to his or her government in Washington is removed unceremoniously before completing his or her tour of duty in the Gambia. The case of these former U.S. ambassadors to the Gambia would buttress this point. Ambassador Jackson McDonald, Ambassador Pamela White, and the latest Ambassador Edward M. Alford, who just recently left and his replacement has not yet taken post. Interestingly enough, these noble, God-fearing Americans are normally posted to trouble spots after their removal from the Gambia as both punishment for their conscience and a warning to future ambassadors that if they refuse to join the smear campaign bandwagon intended to destabilize the current government, they will be sent to dangerous trouble spots. This is buttressed by the recent posting to southern Afghanistan of the last U.S. ambassador to the Gambia, Ambassador Alford. These are the facts that have led to this ignoble and satanic smear campaign against the Gambia. We hereby pledge to continue to give you, the Allah-worshipping people of the Gambia and the noble Allah-fearing people with a conscience the world all over, the real reasons behind both the U.S. and British government's hostilities toward the government of the Gambia. We, as Allah-fearing, predominantly Muslim government and country, will never retreat or surrender, as our fate and destiny lie in the mighty hands of the Almighty Allah. Thus, the truth will always prevail. We hereby challenge both the US and British governments to disclose not only to the Gambian public, but the whole world at large, how much they have given the Gambian people annually from 1994 to date. The figures will shock you as the amounts are so infinitesimal. We shall never be recolonized or re-enslaved. With Allah on our side, we fear no human or satanic power on earth. We thank you for your kind attention.